Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, the profound depths of the mind itself. We'll be using an ancient pathway to help us understand it. Our sources for this deep dive are really quite unique. They're excerpts from a key Buddhist teaching, the Satipatthana Sutta, specifically as it was delivered back in October 1954. And we're focusing on the part about contemplating the mind, citta.
Right. And our mission today really is to unpack how this teaching offers a very practical, step-by-step guide. It's about observing your own consciousness, moving beyond just thinking about it intellectually to direct insight.
Direct insight.
Exactly. And what's surprising are the layers of reality it suggests exist, well, within us and maybe even around us, all aiming for liberation, that complete freedom from suffering.
Okay, so building on that foundation, let's look at a core statement from the sutta. It's called the Udetthavara, the summary. And it says, monks, this path is the one and only way for the purification of beings.
The one and only way.
Yeah, it emphasizes that it's singular, unique. The text says explicitly a direct route, no alternative paths.
And the purpose behind this one path, it's outlined with such clarity in this source. It's for overcoming sorrow, lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and distress.
All suffering, basically.
Essentially, yes. And for attaining true knowledge and ultimately realizing Nibbana, nirvana.
Yeah.
This isn't just abstract, it's the real why behind the whole practice.
So if that's the summary, the Udetthavara, let's move to the Patini-tetthavara. That's the detailed part, right?
Exposition.
It explains the single path is actually made of 4 Satipatthanas, 4 foundations or areas of mindfulness, contemplation of the body, feelings, mind, and phenomena.
And a really crucial instruction comes with all 4. It says you must practice ardently.
Ardently, like with real effort.
Exactly. With clear comprehension and deep mindfulness. And importantly, while consciously removing covetousness and distress concerning the world. So it's not just sitting back and watching passively. It's very much an active, transformative process. It's meant to purify and free the mind.
Okay, that's fascinating. A single path, 4 areas. And it sounds like this purification process takes us into some, well, subtle dimensions. The source talks about seeing these things, not just externally, but internally. It even mentions subtle bodies. What exactly does it mean to see the body in the body? Is that like literal seeing or more metaphorical?
Well, the source gives a pretty unique interpretation of kaṇḍa, the body contemplation. It describes seeing a subtle human body, gaimanut layat, within the gross physical body.
It's in it. Wow.
Yeah, seeing it as clearly as you might see something in a really vivid dream. And this subtle body, according to this teaching, is the very thing that actually does the seeing.
Yeah.
It's the core of perception. And the text then lists specific sections for practice, the pabas. Things like mindfulness of breathing, postures, clear comprehension of actions, even contemplating the body's, let's say, inherent foulness, its elements, earth, water, fire, wind, and the stages of a decaying corpse.
Right, the classic meditations.
Exactly. And the insight you're meant to gain is about the impermanent non-self nature of this physical form.
Okay, that's detailed for the body. But if you can see the body like that, how does it work for feelings? They seem so much less tangible. How do you see feelings in feelings?
It's clarified that this subtle body, it also experiences feelings. The practice involves seeing pleasant, painful, or neutral feelings, but seeing them as distinct, clear, round, spherical lights.
Spherical lights.
Yes, within that subtle human body.
Right.
And it gets more specific. The source differentiates feelings mixed with material things or worldly attachments. That's amisa, from those without such attachments, niramisa.
Oh, okay. Attached versus unattached feelings.
Precisely. And recognizing that difference is presented as really key to getting insight into suffering and how to be free from attachment.
Okay, so body, feelings. What about seeing the mind in the mind and seeing phenomena in phenomena? How do those work? Especially telling mind from phenomena.
Right. So for Satipatthana, contemplating the mind, it's described as seeing the mind itself as a distinct, clear sphere. The source compares it to a black eye pupil. An eye pupil.
Yeah, specifically the mind of the subtle body, which exists within the gross human mind.
Okay, layers within layers.
Exactly. And then Dhammanupassana, contemplating phenomena, goes even deeper. It's about perceiving the fundamental sphere of Dhamma that actually constitutes both the gross and the subtle human bodies.
The sphere of Dhamma, like the basic building blocks.
You could think of it that way. The underlying principles or nature of all existence, physical and mental. I have to bring up this detail from the source here. It's quite amazing. It says that what Paknam truly seeing this, not just for fun, implying it's a genuine, verifiable thing for them.
Right.
And that practitioners there actually practice seeing 18 bodies, clearly.
Yes, that's mentioned.
It suggests this isn't just theory, it's for them a profound, experienced reality that really has a unique layer here.
Absolutely. It grounds the teaching in a specific practice tradition. And bringing our focus back to Satipatthana, the mind contemplation part, the source states this is essential to correct. Otherwise, it will control us.
Essential to correct, so it's crucial for gaining control.
Yes, it highlights the practical need to truly understand our mental states. It's about gaining mastery over your own internal world.
And what kinds of mental states are we talking about? How do you observe them?
The teaching lays out 16 pairs of mental states you're meant to observe. And the key is a clear, knowing awareness of each one. So, for instance, you observe, is my mind with passion or without passion? Is it with hatred or without hatred? With delusion or without delusion? You also notice if it's contracted or distracted. Is it developed, maybe through meditation states or great merit, or is it undeveloped?
Right, developed or undeveloped.
Does it possess superior states or is it unsurpassed? Is it concentrated or unconcentrated? And finally, is it liberated or unliberated?
That's a lot to track.
It is. It's meticulous observation. But it's not just for labeling. It's about building a really precise map of your inner landscape. And crucially, this observation is done internally. That's the subtle body's mind externally, the gross human mind, or sometimes both.
So after all this watching, this mapping,
Right.
What's the goal? What does it achieve for the person practicing?
Well, the practice also involves watching the arising and passing away of these states.
Their impermanence.
Exactly. You're not just noting passion. You're seeing it arise, seeing it fade. You see its dynamic, fleeting nature. The ultimate goal is for your mindfulness to be established just enough for knowledge and remembrance. Recognizing these states aren't really you, they aren't permanent. And that directly loosens the grip of attachment. It leads towards that profound state where you are not clinging to anything in the world.
Okay, let's dive into maybe the most unique teaching from this source, certainly one of the most detailed. It's this breakdown of what the text calls jai, which, can mean heart or mind, but it breaks it down into 4 distinct spheres or components. This really seems to expand how we might think about consciousness beyond just one single mind.
It does. The source is very specific about these 4 spheres and their functions. First, there's the Dung Wenyan, the sphere of consciousness, described as the inner black eye pupil. Its job is purely knowing, just direct apprehension, no concepts involved.
Pure knowing. Okay.
Contrast that with the Dung Jit, going to bottom Moscow. That's the outer black eye pupil. Its function is thinking. So conceptualizing, analyzing, forming mental ideas.
Thinking versus knowing. Distinct.
Very distinct in this model. Then you have the Dung Jam, the scale, the sphere of memory, said to be eye-sized, located in the fluid around the heart, and its job is remembering.
Makes sense.
And finally, the Dung Hen, sphere of seeing. Size of the eye socket, center of the body, responsible for seeing. And the source notes this is also the Dung Gai, kind of the sphere of body.
Seeing, remembering, thinking, and knowing. Simulated out like that. And here's where it gets really thought-provoking. The source says these 4 functions cannot be separated. If they are, the being dies, which suggests this deeply integrated, subtle body. They can even travel instantly. It mentions going to Nakhon Sita Marat like it's nothing.
It's a powerful image about how interconnected they are, how they form one cohesive unit, that subtle body. These 4 aspects combine, and the text explains that practitioners who've cultivated Dhammakaya,
which is like the body of Dhamma, the ultimate reality.
Yes, attained through very deep meditation. They're said to be able to perceive these subtle bodies and their activities even far away. They could potentially see such a subtle body instantly travel somewhere, like Nakhon Sita Marat. It points to a kind of non-physical perception.
Wow. And the source doesn't stop there, does it? It talks about a whole hierarchy of bodies, increasingly subtle and wiser. Can you explain that? Why are they considered wiser?
Yes, the text describes 9 levels. Each is progressively wiser because it operates on a more refined level of consciousness. It perceives deeper truths, has less attachment to the coarser levels of reality.
Okay, so what are the levels?
It starts with the gross human body, then the subtle human body that's 1 time wiser, then the Deva body, 2 times wiser, and its subtle Deva body, 3 times wiser.
Like celestial beings.
In that realm, yes. Then Rupa Brahma body, 4 times wiser, and subtle Rupa Brahma, 5 times wiser. These are form realm gods. Then Arupa Brahma body, 6 times wiser, and subtle Arupa Brahma, 7 times wiser, the formless realms. And finally, at the top, the Dhamma body and subtle Dhamma body, 8 to 9 times wiser.
The Dhammataya again.
Exactly. And what's emphasized is that these represent distinct functions. Mind only thinks, knowing only knows. They aren't interchangeable. It's quite different from how we might usually lump them together.
That distinction, thinking versus knowing, brings me back to that analogy the Source used about the clear mind being like clear water.
Ah, yes, it's a very potent analogy for understanding how defilements affect the mind. The Source says the mind, in its natural state, it mentions the Havanga-citta, the sort of baseline consciousness.
The life continuum mind.
Exactly. That state is clear like water. But when this clear mind gets mixed with passion, it's like adding red dye to the water.
Okay, I can picture that.
A mind with hatred is like water mixed with green or dark colors. And a mind with delusion, it's like muddy water. You can't see through it.
That really helps visualize how these states obscure clarity.
It does. And it reinforces the point we discussed. Observing these states arise and pass away is what allows that clarity to reemerge, leading ultimately to non-clinging.
What an incredible journey we've taken today, really digging into the Satipatthana Sutta's view on the mind. We've looked at that one path to liberation, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, this fascinating idea of subtle bodies, and this intricate architecture of consciousness, seeing, remembering, thinking, knowing as distinct spheres.
And the practical wisdom here is just so profound, isn't it? And understanding your own mind, states whether they're clouded by passion or clear, contracted or expansive, that really is the first step towards self-mastery, towards freedom. It all leads towards that state of non-clinging, not being bound by anything in the world.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener. What might it mean for your own daily awareness if you started to truly differentiate between just thinking about something and knowing it directly? Or just considering the possibility of subtle realities, subtle bodies beyond your immediate perception. How might this ancient, really profound insight from these teachings attributed to Luang Pu Wat Paknam, how might that shift your approach to understanding your own mind and maybe the world around you?